Great. Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. This is NAMI-NYC Walk Talk. Today we're going to go over all the ins and outs of fundraising, both virtually and person. Maybe have time to talk about what's some things you've been really successful with, some things that maybe you're like, oh, I'm kind of struggling with and I want to chat about and how we can work through. So this is really a time to learn kind of the ins and outs of fundraising and how it pertains to the walk. So first things first, I am Emma Shore. I am the manager of events here at NAMI-NYC. At this point, you've probably received plenty of emails from me, but at any time, if there's any questions in regards to the walk when it comes to fundraising, logistics, signing up, all of that, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am your point person and I'm happy to help you this walk season. So NAMIWalks NYC Mental Health Street Fest. This year it is on Sunday, May 19th. From 11 to 2 p.m. back at the Seaport, so Pier 16 and Pier 17. Those who have joined us the last 2 years, it is very similar. It is a 3K walk along the East River Promenade, heading downtown and then looping back to the Seaport, where there will be our Mental Health Street Fest. This is a really great day if you haven't attended yet. We've had lots of fun activations. We have live murals being painted. We have a drum line. All kinds of, fun snacks and games. So it's a really exciting time and I can't believe it's already almost here. So just to kind of give you a little background of 2023 by the numbers, we were named the #1 NAMI Walks in the country again. It's a huge accomplishment. We're very, very excited and happy about that. And we want to continue our legacy. The past 2 years, we've raised over $1 million, which is incredible. So we are going to continue that. And this year we've set a goal for $1.2 million. So when we talk about fundraising today, just keep that in the back of your mind that we are going for not only to be the #1 NAMI Walks again, but to also raise $1.2 million. Before we get into how to fundraise, just kind of want to set you up with some things that you can kind of set your eyes on as goals. I always think it's really important to kind of set a goal for yourself of what you're trying to achieve. It could be a number, it could be getting one of these items, or it could just be something like, I'd like to reach out to 5 more people than I did last year. I'd like to raise $5 more than I did last year. It doesn't matter what your goal is. It's very individual, but these are some things you can kind of use for those purposes. So any individual who raises $100 or more will receive a NAMI Walks t-shirt. This t-shirt you can pick up at the event. And it is for every individual who raises $100 or more. So if you were on a team that raises $500, that doesn't necessarily mean you are going to get a shirt. But if you as an individual have raised at least $100, then you get a t-shirt. Besides the t-shirt, we have other ways to earn swag, or, the higher the money raised, the higher the swag item is. So this is also on our website, but this is our recognition program. It has anything from a long sleeve t-shirt to a Stanley Cup to a projector and AirPods. So if there's something on here that you're like, I really want that, that's a really good way to kind of set a goal and say, hey, I'm working towards this duffel. Personally, I have my eyes on the Stanley Tumbler. So I am very, very excited for that. And hopefully you'll see me next year walking around with it. Besides the t-shirt and the recognition program, we're also fundraising to become a walk star. So a walk star is any walker who has raised $1,000 or more. They receive a special commemorative walk star t-shirt. This is a t-shirt that we change every year and design ourselves. So it is kind of a collect them all. So if you've been a walk star before, I promise you this walk star t-shirt, in my opinion, is the best one we've had ever. So I'm very excited, and you guys will see that in a newsletter very soon. They're really great t-shirts. We also have a VIP area. We have a lot of fun things in there. Good food, just a place, to hang out with some of the other walk stars. And you also get a special gift bag with a lot of items from some of our sponsors. So now that we've kind of talked about all the things you could get when it comes to fundraising, let's talk about how to go through fundraising. So why is fundraising important? As many of you know, NAMI-NYC provides free of charge programs and services to our community. We've served over thousands of families and individuals, and all of our programs are both virtual and in person. So we make it accessible for everyone. You don't just have to be in the New York City area. Since COVID, we have had people from not only all over the country, but all over the world. So we really hit as far as we can. And to make sure that we can continue to do things like this, we need to obviously raise funds. So this is where it's going to. All of the money that is raised is going to continuing putting on our programs, our classes, our support groups. So all of that is why you're fundraising, and something to kind of think about when you're fundraising of, oh, why am I doing this? What does this mean for NAMI-NYC? How am I going to make a difference? So how to get started with fundraising. First and foremost, if you haven't already, register. Go to NAMIWalksNYC.org. It's very, very simple. It takes 5 minutes to go through. That is number one. The next thing you can do is you can customize your fundraising page. So that includes something like changing your photo, writing a story, figuring out what goal you would like to have. The goal, picture, all those things can be changed. To kind of find out how you can change your photo, goal, all those things, we have that on our Walker resources. There are step-by-step instructions on how to do so. But if there's ever something that you can't figure out, and you'd like to know, hey, how can I change my picture? How can I, up my goal? I've passed it. Shoot me an email. I'm happy to assist, here to help in any way. And we love to see lots of smiling faces on everyone's walk pages. So after that, give yourself a donation. That is a really great first start. It's so great when I personally go to donate to someone and I look at someone's page and I notice they already have a donation there. It really kind of sets the ball rolling, sets everyone up on a good foot, and says, oh, not only are you asking so-and-so for a donation, but you also believe in the cause enough to make a donation. No donation is too small. Every dollar counts. We tell that to everyone, and I wholeheartedly believe it. So just throw yourself, even if it's $5, throw yourself $5, put it on your page. And I promise you the donations will kind of start rolling in after that. We also have this handy dandy thing called our fundraising toolkit. It is located on our walk website. It looks like this. It has just about anything and everything you could need to start your fundraising. It has some tips and tricks, which also I will go over in our presentation. It has how to raise $500 in 7 days. It has a bunch of statistics and NAMI-NYC's impact. So if you'd like to explain to someone, how many support groups we have and, how many people attend that support group, all of that is here. So please use this. It's amazing. We really take the time to do this because we know it is so helpful. We also have given you email templates. So you're more than welcome to use this, kind of use some of it, incorporate your story into it, which we'll talk about also. But we have multiple email templates. We also have an email signature. If you'd like to put that in your email, all of the NAMI-NYC staff has that in our signature. I think it's really great. And we also have social media. So not only do we have captions, we have graphics you can use. Like I said, it's all here. If you go through this and you decide, hey, I think X, Y, and Z is missing, shoot me an email because I'm sure you're not the only person who thinks that. And we'd love to continue to update this and make this the best it can be for everyone. We obviously want you to be successful in your fundraising and confident in your fundraising. So if there's not something that you see that you think would be useful for you, let me know, and I'd be happy to get that either in there or to you directly. Okay. So after you check out our fundraising toolkit, reach for an incentive. Like I said, that was that page that is also on our website that has, whether it's the Stanley tumbler, the projector, the raincoat, kind of figure out where I would like to be. And then you can also check out our Walker resources. So this is also on our website, and this has just some helpful information to kind of get through the walk season. It has things like how to customize your page, how to set up your Facebook fundraiser, which is also what we'll talk about later. After this, the recording will live here of this walk talk. So this is also helpful. It lives on our walk website. This will be continually updated. But like I said, with the fundraising toolkit, if something comes up and you're like, hey, I think this would be super helpful, please, please, please let me know. And I will gladly add this or add it to this so that way everyone can use it. Okay, so now let's get kind of into the nitty-gritty when it comes to digital and in-person fundraising strategies. So first, create a Facebook fundraiser. I'm going to go step by step because I know sometimes it gets tricky. This, like I said, the recording will be live. We also have a step-by-step video on how to do this, as well as a flyer. So if you prefer, kind of looking at pictures and going step by step like that, you're also more than welcome to do that. This is really highly important. Even if you feel like I don't really use Facebook anymore, I promise you it is something that is not only so easy to do, but it's one of those things I call it passive fundraising. You do not have to really do anything else besides post it. The internet kind of does its thing. People will kind of comment, like, it'll start to repopulate on people's news feed. So it's really easy to do. You just have to make sure that you set your Facebook fundraiser up this way. If you go onto Facebook yourself and just say, I'm going to set up a Facebook fundraiser for NAMI-NYC, it won't be connected to your walk page. So you might get a donation from your neighbor and then you're not seeing it show up on your walk page and you want to know why. So the reason why is because if we do it this way, it'll automatically show up on your walk page. It'll say so-and-so donated $20 on your Facebook fundraiser, and now it went straight to your walk page. So you see it populate there. If for some reason you don't do that, don't freak out, shoot me an email. We will make sure we figure out how to get those donations to your page, but really, really do your best to try and do a Facebook fundraiser this way so we don't have to do that. So you're going to go to the NAMIWalks NYC page and you will log in. From there, you will be brought to your dashboard, which looks like this. And if you haven't set up your Facebook fundraiser already, you'll see this screen right in the beginning. It is just going to say fundraise on Facebook, create a Facebook fundraiser. So you're going to click that. And from there, it's going to have this pop up and you're going to click create a Facebook fundraiser. And the back end of the computer is going to do its work and it's going to bring you to Facebook. So if you're already logged into Facebook on your computer, it'll just bring you to your Facebook and say, here you go, here's your fundraiser. If you are not logged into Facebook on your computer, it'll bring Facebook up and it'll say, please log in. You'll log in and then it will create a Facebook fundraiser. Really, that's all you have to do. The computer and the back end of Facebook, they do all the work. It is just you simply really clicking the button, having to log into Facebook if you aren't logged in already, and to adopt. You have a Facebook fundraiser. And then you'll get a thing that says your Facebook fundraiser has been created. I promise you, it is really that easy. Now, when it comes to fundraising on Instagram, a little more steps involved, but that's okay. It's still very easy, explanatory. You kind of pull up your profile, you click edit profile, and there is a thing that says website, or if you've like updated your app, it could sometimes say link. You will understand, you'll see the website or link, and you'll be able to copy and paste your fundraising link into there. I would just make sure that when you're copying and pasting that link, that you're pasting your specific page. So I would paste Emma Shore's page as opposed to just the NAMIWalks NYC walk website. That way you want people directed straight to your page. They don't have to kind of search you and find you. It is right to your page. They're able to easily donate, and that'll be that. Now that is if you want it in your profile. If you want to do a story, which a story lasts for 24 hours, this is the way to do it. You go to your profile and you click on this blue plus sign, and you can either then take a photo or select a photo. A lot of times I like to use a photo from a previous walk. If you don't have a photo from a previous walk, maybe you have a photo from a previous NAMI-NYC event, or it could be anything. Sometimes I decide, oh, I think a flower looks nice. Whatever picture you'd like, you select that photo. Then this is just a sample photo of the wall, but you would take this little post-it guy in the corner and you click on that. From there, you'll see a menu that pops up and it looks like this. There's a bunch of stickers with different things on it, and there will be one that says link. So you will click the one that says link. Then you will copy and paste your personal fundraising page link. Like I said, just make sure that you are pasting your specific link and not NAMIWalks NYC, or else it won't go straight to your page. You'll click done, photo will be posted, and now anyone who sees your post can click on your link and they'll be directed straight to your fundraising page. The point of these things is that you really want to make it so easy for the donor to get to your page. The longer that it takes them to kind of click on something else and find your page that way, they're going to be over it. They're not going to want to donate. they want to just like not think about it, do it, and keep moving. So the easiest things you can do is just setting your future donor up for success. So that's really what we're doing with these instances. And now we've done Facebook, we've done Instagram, and now we're going to do LinkedIn, that trifecta. So LinkedIn has honestly grown to be one of the biggest platforms for peer-to-peer fundraising success. It has turned into my favorite one personally. And I find it to be honestly the easiest to use. One thing you can do is you can repost NAMI-NYC content. Our social team is amazing, and they share a lot of different articles about what NAMI-NYC is doing on our LinkedIn. So it's really easy to reshare that. And you can write something as simple as like, I totally agree and think that like, mental health days in the workplace are super important. That's why I'm walking for NAMI-NYC. Here's my fundraising link. So really add how you feel, add your voice, add your perspective, and then include your fundraising link so they know where to donate. But that's really easy. You don't have to come up with new content. You don't have to think of something new. You're more than welcome to, but it's a way to kind of piggyback off of something our marketing team's already done. This is an example. NAMI-NYC posted, be an advocate for mental health for all, join us. And then I piggybacked and wrote, 1 in 5 US adults experience mental illness. This is why I walk, join me. So like I said, if there's already stuff there, you're more than welcome to use it. I find it's really easy. It's also easy then to kind of post more often and not feel super repetitive because you're commenting about different kinds of articles. Sorry, guys, I just want to let some people in. Okay. So now that we've talked about Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, with all of these things, there are some tips and tricks to just make sure that, things are going smoothly and that you'll get the best outcome that you could. So first off is consistency is key. I know you might feel like, oh, I posted a few days ago, nobody wants to hear from me, or I feel like I'm being annoying or clogging up people's feeds. That's not the case. Consistency is key. It takes people about 8 to 10 times to see something and actually react to it. So if you don't get donations the first few times, do not be surprised, do not be worried. It happens. Think about yourself when you're scrolling. Sometimes you scroll through things, you don't even kind of think and stop. That happens to a lot of people. So just keep posting. I promise it will pay off. Keep it short and to the point. If you're scrolling on social media and you see someone who wrote a novel, you're probably not stopping to read that. So just think about when you're sharing that it's short, to the point, it's easily digestible. Someone can read it on their commute and say, oh, I really resonate with that. I find that the longer the post, you at some point lose people when they're reading and then they scroll and they're on to the next thing. Respond back to anyone who engages with your content. So if someone comments on your Facebook fundraiser saying like, I would love to join the walk, respond back to them, say, oh, yes, I'd love for you to walk with me. Or if someone says, good job, I just donated, respond back, thank you so much. Not only is that just nice to do, but the more times you engage or comment on your post, it repopulates and gets to the person's top of their feed. So that's what you want to do. So each time someone comments, even if they like, throw an extra comment in there. That way it'll kind of make sure that it gets to the top of people's news feeds again, and then they'll be reminded again if they haven't donated already. Lastly, be creative. You obviously know your peers the best, you know yourself the best. So if there's something that you think really interests yourself or your peers, be creative. I always do this thing where I compare the prices of food to something like therapy, and I kind of show the difference. I did that with the bagel. A lot of my friends like bagels. So we did this thing where I told them like one bagel in New York City costs like 1/16 of 1 hour of therapy. And I was able to kind of rope in some donations that way. So kind of really think outside the box. Think what is going to stop me personally and, touch me in that way and, make me inclined to donate. There's no right or wrong answers when it comes to being creative. But just think about what you'd want to see on socials and what would stop you from just any other person posting about whatever event that they're, participating in. Now let's talk about in-person fundraising. I know sometimes this can bring up feelings. Even someone who has a career in fundraising, it can be kind of uncomfortable sometimes. That's totally normal. It's not anything I haven't heard before or felt before. I feel it too, but I promise you it is not as scary as we think. And once you kind of get over the hump of doing it once or twice, it definitely feels a little bit better. So something that I would consider is take advantage of upcoming holidays. If you have a birthday coming up, if there's a, uh, any other holiday that's coming up that you're celebrating, take advantage of it, whether that be asking, if it's your birthday, asking for some donations in lieu of gifts, or it's just an opportunity to be with people in the room and have a conversation. Say, hey, I'm doing this. Would you like to join me? Or if it's hey, I'm doing this. This is why this means so much to me. Would you consider donating? It just gives you an opportunity to kind of come face to face with people that sometimes you might not always come face to face with and chat with them. Telling your story, which we'll go into next on how to do that. But I think that's really important. Not only do I feel like it's important for the individual, but it's also important for someone else to hear like, hey, why does NAMIWalks NYC matter to you? Why are you doing this? I find that a lot of people who tell their story do it so well. And it's very touching and it really gets someone to think differently about NAMI-NYC and about just the programs that we offer. So I would not be afraid to tell your story. You never know the impact it's going to have on someone individually, or maybe they have a family member or a friend that could really benefit from some of our services. Use your talents in exchange for a donation. So let's say you're very, musically inclined. You can say, hey, I'll give so-and-so a guitar lesson for an hour. And in lieu of that, lesson, if you could please donate to my walk page, you can do that. I've had people who, bake sourdough and they do fundraisers that way. Whatever your shtick is, try and use it to your advantage. Even if you feel like you don't have one, I personally feel like I'm not good at music. I'm not good at art. There's not something that I feel like is sellable. There is something. I made banana bread and I gave it to my grandma and some other people. So there is something out there. You just have to kind of think about what makes you unique and what someone would potentially purchase from you in that way. You could also host a dinner party. That doesn't mean you need to be, culinarily inclined. You can order in, but point being is that you're bringing people to your home saying, I'm going to provide you with a meal. If you could potentially provide me with a donation during that meal, it gives you an opportunity to talk about, hey, why are we having this meal? Why do I want you to join me with NAMIWalks NYC? Things like that are really, really helpful. And I think it's just nice to not only get everyone in the room together, but there is something to be said about giving people something in return. I think sometimes some people react better to that and saying that like, oh, we get to do this thing. I get to walk with you and donate. There are just ways to kind of get every kind of donor. Not everyone's going to feel that way, but I do know a lot of people like to be hosted. So it's an opportunity to do that. Lastly, you could reach out to your local gym, coffee shop, bodega, dry cleaners, anywhere that you think that you go enough that they might recognize you or know you. They sometimes would be willing to make a donation, so it does not hurt to ask. They also sometimes would be willing to leave a coin jar or a flyer, and you can put like a QR code with your walk page on it. You kind of have to see what they'd be willing to do, but there's a lot of different avenues to go on with that. If you go to, let's say, like a local cycle studio, sometimes they'll say like, hey, we could put on a charity class for you, and some of the proceeds that we make during this cycle class, we can donate towards your walk page. So I really would have a conversation with anyone that you potentially come into contact with a good amount of times, because you never know what they're going to say. I've had a lot of times where even local supermarkets are like, yeah, of course, we'd love to do this and we'd love to donate X, Y, and Z. So don't be afraid to ask. You might not always get a yes, but still, it doesn't hurt to ask. And if you don't ask, it's already a no. So now let's talk about how to share your story. And this also kind of pertains to whether it be in person or online. Doesn't really matter. It just matters how you share your story and you come across saying, this is why I walk. This is what NAMI-NYC means to me. So what is sharing your story? So it is speaking on your connection with either a NAMI-NYC program, speaking on your experience at NAMIWalks NYC, your experience with mental illness in general, whether you be a peer, a family member, a friend, or just an advocate, and anything that you feel represents your why. Obviously, this is very personal. By all means, I'm not telling you to share what you wouldn't feel comfortable with, But sometimes speaking on your story, like I said, is not only liberating for the individual, but is liberating for someone who is hearing your story. It might mean that you touch them in a way that they could, seek our services or know someone who could seek our services. So I just wanted you to be mindful that even if you don't get a donation, and you're like, oh, I wish I got a donation out of this interaction, you still got way more. There are so many people that end up calling our helpline that, you would have no idea in the end, but called because they saw your post or they heard your story. So I would really think about using your story, whatever that may be. It could honestly even just be, I went to NAMIWalks NYC last year and had the most amazing time. I met the most amazing people. I felt part of a community. You could share something so on the surface and it would still be so impactful. So I encourage you to kind of really think what your story is for you. Like I said, it's really important. And the reasons why it is important is because ultimately you're an advocate for NAMI-NYC in the community. The more we share, the more not only are we kind of chatting about our programs and expanding our programs, but we're also just letting people know they're not alone, letting people know that there are a lot of people who experience similar situations. Ultimately, our goal, breaking the stigma. So this is a huge part of it. It also creates points of connection. As I mentioned, you don't know what someone else is going through. I've gotten plenty of messages of someone saying, hey, thanks so much for sharing this. I needed this for X, Y, and Z reasons. Like I said, you might not necessarily get a donation out of it at first, but I promise you it goes beyond a donation. And in the end, it really does positively impact your fundraising. It kind of puts a face to the name. Not only is it a walk, but why are you walking? So just think about that. So now I just want to take a few minutes. Everyone could kind of, do this silently, grab a paper, whatever kind of works for you. But let's try and brainstorm a little bit. Think about some of these prompts. I am walking because. I am walking for. I want to support NAMI-NYC because. I appreciate that NAMI-NYC offers blank because. I am a blank. I want blank. So I'll give you a few minutes just to kind of think those through. You can write them down, just think in your head. Maybe if one of these, sentences resonate with you, it can kind of start you off on your story or a post or something. But I think it's really helpful to think about. We'll give everyone a minute. And like I said, this is recorded, so you can come back to these brainstorming exercises. I do them throughout the walk season. I think it's really helpful. So now, tips and tricks on when it comes to sharing your story. As I mentioned before, do what makes you feel comfortable. At the end of the day, do not share more than you want to share. We are not asking for that at all. I want you to share what you are willing and feel comfortable sharing. I want you to feel empowered when you share. And I don't want you to feel like I regret or I feel nervous. I just want it to be a positive experience. So whatever that means to you, take that. There's no right or wrong answer as to how much you share or what you share. I just want you to share for you. Speak on what you know. Everyone has a connection in some way, whether that be, like I said, to mental illness, to NAMIWalks NYC, to NAMI-NYC. So whatever your connection is, speak on what you know, what you feel. Don't try to come up with a story or reasoning that doesn't feel authentic to you just because you think it's going to bring in more donations. I promise it won't. People know when people are not being authentic right away. So speak on what you know. Be yourself. There's only one you. So be yourself. Share from your heart. And I promise you'll get good results from that. Short is key. That's the other thing. While our stories can be really, really long, I'm one of many words, so I understand. No one really wants to read or hear an 8-paragraph manifesto. So just when you're telling your story, think about how can I stay concise? How can I get to my point? while also obviously sharing all the points that I'd like to share. And lastly, create an open conversation, especially if you are in person talking to someone. Take a minute, breathe. Maybe they have a response. Maybe they're about to tell you, hey, I've experienced X, Y, and Z, or I relate to this on some way. So create that open conversation. You don't know where it's going to kind of lead to and go, but just make sure to also, remember that it is a conversation. It doesn't have to necessarily be a presentation. All these things are tips and tricks, but like I said, do what makes you feel comfortable. That is how you're going to get the best out of your fundraising, is being yourself and doing what makes you feel comfortable and what you feel like resonates with you, your family members, your peers. Everyone kind of surrounds themselves with different people. So what might work for one person doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So do what is right for you. Now, where to share your story. So in person, on social media, and on your personal fundraising page. All these stories could be different. They could be different versions of it. It does not matter. It's up to you. Like I said, this part's really, really personal. It is up to you. It is up to what you want to share. It is how you want to share it. But all of these things are great places to share your story.